It's a mic right over there. Sure. Yeah, on top. Show, because I can't see it. It's right,
Where is it?
right there in front of the speaker, in front of the gentleman.
You'll put them on the list. You ready?
I'm sorry.
So is the microphone up here?
Right there.
Right here?
Yep. See this one. Huh? It's the what? Yeah, the lady parked it up.
So we're about to get started. I just want to thank everyone for being here.
Hello? Can you hear?
Hello? I don't think it's working. So I'm going to just, hello, I'll just talk.
Yeah, that's their microphone. They hooked to it.
Just only today. All right, so I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Melissa Ringgold, and I am hosting with Janice Deloach. Janice.
It's right here. Hi. Hello, everybody. How y'all?
Just want to thank everyone for coming out this afternoon, and we all look forward to having a great time here. Just, if everyone, in terms of questions, we will open the floor for that, and if everyone is just very respectful, and we have a great panel here. So what I'll do is just kind of start a little bit. I'll tell you a little bit. We already did a little networking when everyone came in. And we are going to do a door prize today. We have that. And let's see what else. We have a little, a special guest So once she comes in, then we'll introduce her, and then just kind of, we'll have a few questions for our candidates. So if we can get started, I can start with our circuit court judge. Hello, how are you? All right, so Judge Price, I just have a few questions. You know what, it probably would be, well, if everybody could first just introduce themselves, I think that would be great. Yeah, just say your name and your
It's hooked
district.
up.
So
We
we'll
just
start
gotta turn
with
it.
Hi, I'm Judge Larry Price. I district is the entire Hartford County. So,
Hello, my name is Diane Atkins Tobin. I'm a candidate for the circuit court for Hartford County and Wood County Mark.
My name is Tom Nashwell, I'm also a candidate for circuit court, full-time right now as a public defender, but taking on Tuesday or Thursday.
Hi everybody, my name is Christopher Randers Harrison. I'm running for State Senate of District 35.
I'm State Senator Bob Cassidy. I'm the current senator of District 34, which is everything in Hartford County, along Route 40 and up Route 23.
Mary Ann Forgy, I'm the Democratic candidate for Hartford County. I'm Donna Hines, I'm Maryland State Senate Saturday, which not only covers parts of Hartford County, but Baltimore County as well.
My name is Deborah Kirk, I'm the Democratic candidate for clerk of the circuit court in Hartford County.
My name is Carlos Kaelin. I don't like talking behind tables, but I guess I have to today. I'm a lifelong resident of Hartford County, and the only native son, I went to Edward Senior High School, Cal State University, University of Maryland, Mike Conley.
I'm Juwan Smith Lucas, and I'm running for the Register of Wills and these countywide positions.
My name is Bud Hines. I'm running for County Council President, which runs across the county.
I'm Gordon Kerner. I'm running for State Delegate, District 7, which is western part of Hartford County, eastern Baltimore, part of Baltimore County, Jotham, Middle River, that's the border.
I apologize for my lateness, but we are electioneering, so I was trying to get every last vote. My name is Saria Bennett, a Democrat running for 34A. It's having grace to Jotham towards the water. I'm trying to shake up the system because we need to bring it back to the people of the politics. Thank you.
We can give everybody a round of applause. Thank you so much for coming out, everyone, as well. So I just have a few questions. Janice and I will split some of the questions, but right now, Judge Price, I'm going to ask you a question. Did everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Melissa,
Yes.
you give me 1 second.
Sure.
You guys look really nice tonight.
Yes.
Can we do trivia? Because y'all, everybody looks like you've had a rough night.
Yeah. Oh, great. I see we see that. Yeah.
Of course,
we see
I see we have a little fun. This is okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
So this is for everybody in the room, and we have 4 prizes. We even have some for the guys today. So, what U.S. president refused to use a telephone while in office? Calvin Coolidge.
Donald Trump.
Who said that?
You guys don't just give her the prize.
Oh, you are. Okay, so thank you. Safer. Yeah, right. So it was Calvin Coolidge. Okay.
That's the already.
Great job, great job, really good. Okay, so Judge Price, I'm gonna ask you a question. For some reason, I now have to put on readers. I don't know what the problem is, but I thought I could see really well. I looked down here, I'm like, what? Okay. So, Judge Price, what issues stand out to you in Hartford County that you would identify as areas or issues that need improvement for the citizens of Hartford County?
Well, as a judge, we have to be careful talking about issues. It's one of the things we're sort of good at taking policy decisions, but one of the things we see on a regular basis in the circuit court are issues related to drugs, all types of drugs. You know, everyone talks about the opiate epidemic, but it's all types of drugs. And it's a matter of dealing with the issues. They're both health issues as well as criminal issues, and identifying, you know, the difference between them, and identifying who is a user, who is an addict, who is a street level dealer, who is a dealer, and dealing with all of those things. And, you know, when it comes to us, it's coming to us in the criminal aspect most of the time, although we do see a lot of issues the same on the civil side, domestic cases, child abuse cases, all those different things. But in the criminal aspect of it, we have to look at everything, trying to decide what an appropriate sentence is. To do that, we have to look at, punishment, deterrence, and rehabilitation, and figure out what's appropriate for the individual person. I think that's the biggest issue right now.
Excellent. All right, that's great. Does anyone have any short questions? Yes?
So,
Okay. That's nice. Okay.
okay,
Just
quite contextual. Now, are you trying to suggest that we should have more, drug clinics?
Well, drug clinics for treatment or drug
For
courts?
For treatment. For treatment.
Well, I said, I can't talk about policy, whether we should have clinics or not, but obviously, there's always underlying health issues dealt with drug issues, addiction issues, so, there aren't sufficient means of treating things right now, so the problem is not getting better, so yes, there would be treatment happening there.
Okay, thank you. So I have one more question.
Sure.
Judge Price, given the climate of the world today with so much disparity and the way justice is distributed for minorities, people of color, how would you foster fairness and impartiality with relation to how justice is distributed in Harford County?
Well, there's a lot of ways to do that, and talk about that all right, that on that whole, so
Sure.
try and break it down into a couple of areas. The first thing is, appointing and electing your judges, you need to have a diverse bench. And we do have that right now in Harford County. We have women, men, we have our administrative judges, African American, we have people from all kinds of backgrounds, prosecutors, civil backgrounds, all of that. So that's one thing. Another way is the training once you go on the bench. One of the first training they took me through was implicit bias training. All the judges go through bias training as part of their new judge training. That's another way to do it. But the biggest way that things are changing right now is legislative. I can't take legislative decisions, but probably the biggest piece of legislation that's come out recently is the Justice Reinvestment Act, in effect last year, October 1st. And that treats things in different ways. How do you sentence certain things? People get more probation, and violations occur regularly. And in the past, basically, a violation of probation is a balance of your sentence. Justice Reinvestment Act now says, let's look at certain things and say, okay, there are technical violations, let's treat those internally first, and, see if we can resolve things without going to the balance of the sentence. Relief. So there's a lot going on other ways. There's also bail review that's going away from cash bail. We're looking at whether someone's in danger, just so they can afford to pay a bail now.
Yes, sir.
It all sounds good and wonderful. But interestingly enough, I had the ability, I guess, here this last 2 weeks to go up to the detention center. And I tried to get people to be registered. It was interesting. I know what you're saying as far as diversity and making sure the right people will get in. It appears that we have about 1,500 black people. It's kind of odd. Just in general, I'm not saying for you, but I mean just for some. And it's really disgraceful. I felt bad. I'm a military person. Me to walk in that place and just know it's the problem that I went in there for, to register and get people to vote. The 1,500 brothers and or sisters, obviously, are in that jail. It's shocking.
Sarah said, that's something unfortunate that will not be changed. I was talking about the person on the bench to address things.
And I do understand that, Judge, and I wasn't saying that you wrote.
Yeah, but you're right, you can't dispute numbers. Numbers of who's incarcerated, you can't dispute that, but I think a lot of the legislation that's coming out is gonna fix that. It's not a very nice solution, it's gonna take time, but I think the Justice Reinvestment Act will fail to do reform. A lot of those things are gonna have an impact on who ends up in jail for how long and the ability to get out.
Just leaving you all something to think about.
Great, thank you. Judge Price, you did a great job. Thank you so much. Thanks for the input from the audience. You guys are doing an excellent job. Excellent. So, let's let's see, Senator Cassidy? Yeah, hi there. So, well, first I want to thank you for being the only the only candidate in the District 34 to be here tonight. That's great. Thank you so much for showing
I
up.
saw them at the polls, so they are out.
Yeah.
I coincided with early voting, and I went by the Edgewood district before I came in, and it's packed. The good news is, people are voting, bad news is listening, and
Yes.
it's much easier, so it's packed.
All right.
Good.
So, question for you. District 34 has been the location and the district of the last 3 mass shootings in Harford County. What have you done about curbing or reducing the avenues by which these kinds of shootings are allowed to happen? Number one, how do you ensure the communities and workplaces safety moving forward? For example, you have submitted several bills that deal with guns, etc., like NDSB 197.
I'm terrible with bill numbers, so I'm sorry. That bill number isn't exactly ringing. We do like 3,000 bills a year, times 4 years. But the mass shootings, it troubles me too. But the one thing they have in common is the shooters and the victims almost exclusively are from Harford County. And what we've got is, we're having there's success in economic success in that we occupy a piece of I-95 that is, from an industry and a commerce standpoint, is a gold mine. You got easy on, easy off. The land is available. That's the advantage to that is we're employing a lot of Harford Countyans in there. They got us some decent paying jobs. We just picked up 2 more large warehouse buildings just outside of Edgewood coming in. We just reported. The challenge with that is you're bringing in people from all over. I mean, people from New York, people from all the way, DC, and every place in between. And that's a challenge. If these were Harford Countyans shooting people up, I say, what are we doing? What are we educating wrong? But it's not. And unfortunately, it's just a reality that when we're bringing people in from very diverse backgrounds who really don't have the loyalty to each other. These aren't like the local bakery or the local tire store somewhere everybody knows each other. These are businesses where people come in from all over the place with a lot of different backgrounds. And we're seeing how tumultuous that can be. I mean, look, I introduced a bill. I understand why we did away with the death penalty. I mean, there was too many people there getting, too many innocent people. Well, you got somebody who walks into a room like this full of 50 witnesses and starts shooting people. I got 50 witnesses to say it. I'm sorry, there's got to be a higher penalty. There has to be a higher penalty that says this was not a service station robbery going wrong or a kid panicked or something. This is a guy who walks in knowing I'm coming in here to kill all these, whatever he wants, whatever the word might be that he wants to kill. There's got to be an ultimate penalty, I believe. Society has a right to expect that, and we've got to say we're going to extract that. Maryland is actually one of the more aggressive states on gun control. In pretty much every one of these cases, these are guns that would not have been sold in Maryland. They're not lawfully issued handguns or rifles, and so our laws don't really cut them. But we've got to make sure that the crime fits the sentence fits the crime, and that's just. We've got to show that, folks. It's got to be there. People have to know if you're going to be evil, then we as society have a right to really extract the ultimate penalty. This is not good boy going bad. This is evil just being evil. So, yeah. Just a question.
Yes, please.
So, what does a separate penalty mean?
If you don't mind, please stand up, please. Thank you.
My name is Betsy, and I have lived in Harford County for over 60 years. What does the death penalty mean to a mentally ill person?
So, the way the death penalty was in Maryland before we did away with it, you can. If someone is mentally ill, they don't need death penalty. This is not going to happen. So this is people who are coming in. This last guy that shot people the granite marble guy, he's just a very bad person who was just out to no respect for human the like.
But the young lady at Clorox had asked for mental health.
Yeah, it's probably not a candidate, we're probably not, well, she's deceased, but would not have been a candidate for that.
And
Because
perhaps how
she's
did
got-
she get it then?
Yeah, and
Legally?
And I've argued in this, I repeatedly argue in the Senate that one challenge we have as a society is not dealing effectively with mental illness. And we're way too quick to say, let's just pretend it's not there. And we can't have that. People are driving big rigs at 80 miles an hour, they're doing all kind of things. We just can't have where we pretend that someone's not mentally ill. And you know, there's a lot of lawyers up here, they all know how difficult it is to get somebody committed. I've had parents coming to me pleading, help me lock my son or daughter up. They're seriously mentally ill. I'm afraid she's gonna kill her little sister or she's gonna kill his little brother. You gotta help me. It's really a challenge. It's really a challenge because there's society versus society right now says, well, give him a pill and send him off and see how that does. And if it does okay, that's fine. It might not work. That might be somebody gets beat, rape, robbed, murdered, whatever. But hey, we gotta take that chance. We don't need to take that chance. We can be a little more proactive with this stuff.
Thank you. And one second, if anybody else on the panel would like to chime in, we'd love to hear everybody else's comments and thoughts on this as well too, if you don't mind. And then if you don't mind, Mr. We'll come to you one second, okay, thank you.
Actually, some of the information said is not actually correct. Some of the people were actually from Harper County. The guy who murdered his cops was directly from Harper County. The girl that did it this time, she actually legally acquired a gun, and they knew she had mental illness, so she slipped through the cracks. So we actually do have to start looking at our legislation in a more individualistic way. We can no longer just, it's different penalty, okay? She killed herself, so what's a different penalty for that, right? So we gotta actually be more proactive, especially when it comes to mental health illness, right? And it has to start with our healthcare system. We're always on the border with the federal government, right? They're telling us what to do and whatever have you, but we have to start dealing with it at the State House, and that's why I'm running. Because I want to start pulling some of those issues so when a different administration comes in, Maryland doesn't get tapped. So we can start that way, but another thing we can start with is also, a lot of people do gun violence because economics. Most people, if the drug economy is the only economy that exists, guess what? That means there's no viable economy that exists. So until we're ready to really be real about it, especially in this beautiful 40 corridor that I live in, which is always a nasty word, but to me it's not a nasty word. Until we're willing to deal with it, it's going to continue. And we're going to continue to see 1,500 African Americans and people of color in jail. And I don't want to see that anymore.
Then part of why I'm running is I want healthcare for all. And what I want is, in that healthcare, is expanded mental health programs. We need them. Every time there's a shooting, it's always blamed on mental health. So that tells us something, doesn't it? We don't have to be geniuses to figure it out that our problem is mental health. Now, I was married to a paranoid schizophrenia, so I know what this disease is about, and I know how many times she went in and out of hospital. It's a terrible disease, and the system itself really doesn't know how to treat it yet. That is one of the reasons I'm for medical marijuana. Medical marijuana is proven to be a source of combating the opioid epidemics and many other issues that we have in this country.
Thank you. And for the record, can we just let everybody know, can you guys just kind of focus here on these two cameras, because we're going to rebroadcast this after today, if you don't mind? You will edit that, right?
So, I'm running for county council, so what I'm saying,
And what is your name, please?
Bud Hines, or Frank Bud Hines, I'm running for county council president. The thing I wanted to bring up is this. For those of you who are running for Senate and the people that are running for delegate, it's very important that you vote Democrat. So there's this big move, Friends of Hogan, etc. If we get a Republican majority in the Maryland Senate, what we're going to do is we're going to see Governor Hogan overturn a
Affordable Care Act. He's been good with healthcare because you know why? He can't overturn it. But if we lose the Democratic majority, we are gonna be toast. So as we talk about mental health care, thank goodness for Affordable Health, ACA. And with ACA, we have programs where people can get treatment for addiction. And they have counseling. Counseling is free. We're about to lose that if we continue to embrace people who say, oh, this person for Hogan, that person for Hogan. So all I'm saying is, I beg you to vote Democrat and vote for Democrat delegates like Gordon, like Sarita, like Donna, or Don for Senate, because if Governor Hogan wins and he has to strive for 5 to get rid of 5 senators, we're toast.
What
So,
is ACA, please?
what's that?
What does ACA mean?
Affordable Care Act.
Federal law, the Affordable
Well,
Care
I
Act.
can
Governor
respond
Hogan
to
can't
it.
do that. It's federal law.
Yes, talking about the shootings, even though the registered wills is not a position that addresses legislation, I've always been a spokesperson for this community and an advocate. And what I've realized with that issue is that we're missing some of the underlying issues. It's the affordable, it's the healthcare, but it's also the fact of the conditions of the factory workers. The idea that those people who are, many of them are people I know, so that they had to go back to work after that shooting, and that they had worked double shifts for 12 hours, and if you work a 12-hour shift and it's a double shift, then you're working an additional 12 hours. The idea that the temporary agencies are the people who hire, and that there are an extraordinary number of hirees each day, and the promise of getting permanent employment that never comes. But you don't get fired, you just get recycled. And what are the benefits to the companies that are doing this? And why is this being allowed in Harford County with the industrial use map having grown along Route 40 corridor the way that it is, and instead of improving our natural resources for the water, what we're doing is industrializing the area. We have to look at the full impact of all things.
Thank you. Okay, and we're gonna move through this really quickly because we've got a whole bunch of other questions. Yes, sir, Mr. Taylor.
Oh, sorry?
You,
Well, one of the things we have to look at, I thought it was stunning in the case of the young lady shooting those individuals on the job, is that there was a loophole that allows schizophrenics to have guns, right? And so we have to look at some of these laws at hand and say, well, is that such a wise thing to have a schizophrenic diagnosed that have her be able to have a gun? And so we have to look at some of these laws, and we have to be able to study what's really going on. For instance, when the 2 kids shot the young man at Edwards Senior High School, we're not getting any information from our public safety officers, at least the community, maybe some professionals, but all stakeholders should be sat down and say, look, this is what's going on in our school. So why is it that 2 young men from fairly decent families shoot this other individual for drugs? Why is that going on? Is it gangs? Is it just plain stupidity on the part of these individuals? But we have to sit down with community members and say, this is what's going on. We have to study these issues. We just can't go off half-cocked and come up with some kind of temporary solutions. And so one of the things as the state's attorney that I will do in being proactive is sit down with the community to make sure we study, that you know, that I know, and consult with the professionals to make sure we can properly safeguard our community.
thank you. Okay, can you talk to what your name is and what position you're running for?
My name is Carlos Taylor, and I'm running for Harford County State's Attorney.
Oh, like Jawanda, my position as clerk of the circuit
What's
court.
your name, please?
My name is Sabra Perth, I'm sorry, is an administrative position, it's not a policy position. But one of the things that strikes me with, that was kind of abhorrent to me with one of the last shootings, I think was the JPS shooting, was that right after that shooting, there was a gun bingo. And one of the guns that was being auctioned, that was being bingoed off, was an AR-15, which was the same gun that we see in all these mass shootings. And I thought it was an appalling lack of conscience and lack of taste in a county where we just had a mass shooting, that they would have a gun bingo being sponsored by, it was endorsed by the sheriff's department, and I just thought, that is not what our community needs. I think that there's a real problem. I know that Maryland has strict gun laws, but there seems to be in this county feeling that anything goes. It's the wild, wild west. And I grew up in a family that my brother, when he died, he had 80 guns. I mean, so I know guns, and my brothers were all hunters and stuff, but I don't understand that kind of culture at all.
Yes, sir.
I've heard a couple of things come up multiple times here. Number one is they say that, Route 40 is flourishing with jobs. Then I know on the other side that people are not getting full-time jobs. I think that I've heard in the background, they get hired for 90 days and then they're released. What's happening? Is that just to make the numbers look good that Route 40 is flourishing with jobs? Did somebody answer that?
My name is Saria Ben, I'm running for 34A. What they do is they get a kickback. Okay, they hire them for 90 days, they let them go or whatever they do, and bring them back on. And they get a hiring tax break. And guess what? These are all corporations who take the money out of our community. So guess what happens? When the money's taken out of our community, dollars are not recycled with them. When dollars are not recycled with them, it makes it a weak, dependent economy. And that's why I'm running also, because I believe in small business. Small business people have an vested interest in our area, in our community, unlike corporate interests. I'm not against corporations, I don't want anybody to think that, but I don't think building up 1 million factories, putting out all kinds of manner of stuff, they're dropping, I went back there myself personally in Perryman, behind Aberdeen, in the Aberdeen area, and I saw some disgusting waste. I live in Aberdeen, I got a kid. Are we making policies and decisions for the moment? Are we ever thinking about the future? So those are the things, so that's the reason why there's a kickback. If we don't get a kickback, if they're not getting a kickback, they wouldn't be doing it.
Thank you. Chris, would you mind sharing your thoughts on that? It'll be our last one, then we're gonna move on to Diana.
Okay, I just wanted to make a comment when we were talking about the firearms regulations. And I just want to propose a question to you guys.
Could you tell people what your name is and what
Oh,
you're
yes.
running for, please?
My name is Christopher Randers Pearson. I'm running for state senate in District 35. And the question I have for you is, say you live in a dangerous neighborhood, and your family gets, attacked on a regular basis. Say you get robbed every once in a while, and you get threatened with guns. And I want you to think about, would it be easier for you, say you decide, I need a firearm to protect myself. Would it be easier for you to go to your neighbor, a gang member that you know, and get a gun from them, and then become carrying illegally? Or would you prefer to have a way, if you have never been convicted of a crime, if you have a clean mental bill of health, should you have the ability to register and carry legally, just to protect yourself and protect your family? That's my question.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to move on to the next question. Can I just respond? Yes, please.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
What neighborhood is that?
I grew up in Edgewood. I know there's areas that are safer than others. And it could be any neighborhood. I'm not saying it has to be a certain neighborhood. It could be my neighborhood, it could be your neighborhood.
I'm just asking, are you advocating vigilante justice?
No, I'm advocating self-defense. The ability to protect yourself and your family.
The difference is, though, you're talking about a family, if they can't afford to go into a gun shop and buy a brand new gun, then than somebody that's gonna go buy a gun from a dealer that's gonna sell it to you for a lot less.
I'm not talking about the cost of a gun.
Well, then why would there be an option?
I don't know if anybody here has ever applied for a firearms carry permit, but it's nearly impossible. So, yeah. Yes, ma'am?
In Hartford County, unless you have been physically threatened and the police verify it, or you carry money, you cannot get a carry permit. It's next to impossible.
So the revenue is to become a criminal, and I don't think that should be the only way. I think that we have the Second Amendment for a reason, and that's how I feel about that.
Okay, thank you very much. And so we're gonna move on to Diane Atkins Tobin, please. Atkins, my apologies.
No, that is so good.
Is it?
That's what it is.
So could you tell us your name, please?
Yeah, let's use your name here, no big question right now. Diane Atkins Tobin is my name.
Thank you so much, Diane, for straightening us out. So we've got it, Diane Atkins Tobin. So you were quoted recently in the Aegis, June 28, 2018, as saying, "I'm very excited about the results and very excited about, at this point, being second overall." Atkins Tobin, sitting on the deck of her Boston home, watching as the results came in, said Tuesday night, "I knew the voters of Hartford County would appreciate having a choice for judge. I ran on my credentials, I ran on my record, and I'm looking forward to continuing the race into November." So my question is, what are your credentials, and why should the citizens of Hartford County vote to elect you as judge?
So my credentials are very lengthy, and I've been an attorney for 33 years. I'm practicing in the courts all over the state of Maryland. 33 years. I have 23 years of experience as a prosecutor. I have 10 years experience doing civil trials. The circuit court is a trial court jurisdiction, which means that in the circuit court is where most of the trials are held. Jury trials, non-jury trials, family law trials, divorce cases, all of those things. I'm the candidate who has experience in both. I have extensive criminal trial experience, I have extensive civil trial experience, and those are my credentials. When I talk about what I've done for Hartford County, for the past 18 years I've been employed in the state's attorney's office. And for 16 of those 18 years, I have worked in cases involving crimes against children, cases involving victims of crime. I've prosecuted an extensive amount of child abuse cases, child exploitation cases, rape cases, sexual assault cases, murder cases, robberies, crimes of violence, also DUIs, drug possession, drug dealing, kidnapping, arson, you name it, I've done it. And I've tried, I would easily say more cases, certainly than, and I'm not gonna say Mr. Ashball, but the two appointed judges, I've tried more cases than them. I know that I've tried more criminal cases than Judge Price to my left. I know that I've tried an extensive amount of criminal cases. So I have the courtroom experience that is necessary and required of a circuit court judge. And that's going to be my credentials and experience.
Great, thank you. Let me ask you one more question. What are the, and you highlighted some, but what are the areas of concern that you would like to correct?
Well, there are several, and Judge Price talked about the opioid epidemic, that certainly the courts can play a role in assisting with that. Really, and I know that we have a drug court program in the works for the circuit court. But another area that I think is very important that is really overlooked is the backlog. And when I say the backlog, what I mean is that I'm very concerned over the fact that cases take a very long time to get to trial. And there is a huge backlog. And part of the reason for the backlog is that really the courts need to do a better job at addressing them. The result of the backlog is that there are people who are sitting in jail in the detention center, sometimes upwards of a year, longer than a year, just to get a trial date.
and to get the case to trial, and that is wrong. That is just wrong, and it's a disservice to the people of Harford County. Right now, and I've been checking for the past few months, so when a case is indicted, when the process in a criminal case is when it's indicted, it gets a scheduling conference, and at that scheduling conference, they pick a trial date. The rules, the Maryland Rules of Procedure require that the case be set for trial within 180 days of the first appearance in court, which is usually the arraignment or entry of counsel. Right now, I believe this being November, they're setting cases, you probably know better than I do, Mr. Asphalt, but I want to say it's easily March or April. In March. And the cases then get postponed because of the backlog. They come to court and they're not ready to be heard because there's other cases that need to be heard and they get postponed. The other area of impact, and I'm not going to focus on criminal, it has to do with family law. People who file for custody, for example, custody changes involving a child, divorce cases involving marital property, and those take a long time to get to trial. There is a magistrate court that hears them, but 9 times out of 10, the attorney will file exceptions, which means that it's still being dragged on. What that means is that there's a child or children who are waiting in limbo, trying to decide, for the courts to decide who gets custody or what the visitation schedule is for that child. And that's wrong. That's just wrong. It's a disservice to the people of Harford County. So that is what I believe is a big problem with the courts, and I think that it's something that people don't appreciate and don't understand unless you're living it like we are.
Thank you very much. So this next question is, and we're gonna move this along a little faster, this next question is an open question for everybody on the panel. And again, if you wouldn't mind, just identify, say what your name is and what position you're running for, because everybody may not be familiar with that. This is actually a general summary from a letter that was mailed out from Delegate Glenn Glass from the Maryland House of Delegates. Okay, and he talks a lot about public safety. But let me just quote you a small part from the letter, and then whoever would want to chime in really quickly will have to answer real brief. In a progress report, the report shows that $74.5 million went to police aid to local government and municipalities. Only $36.3 million went to investing in grants for local law enforcement. $8.2 million went to upgrade and replace the state police vehicles. Here's the question. Why did more money go to police aid, government and municipalities? The number again was $74.5 million, but less money went to local law enforcement and protecting the community, was $36.3 million. And why is Harford County paying for state police vehicles? And do they really need new vehicles? Considering there's no charge for insurance, for tags, for gas, for car insurance. It's a really long question. I can repeat it. Anybody?
The second part of that is it's long phrase there, but he's summarizing where the state budget was spent. So that's the state money being spent on state police, not Harford County, we're all state taxpayers, so some of that's our money too. But he's describing what the state tax money is going to pay for the state police. And then the first part of the question, part of it's in front of you, but you're talking money for policing versus municipal policing, I think, is what you're distinguishing between. I'm not sure on the first part.
Right, so, and this is not to, no way, this is not about Delegate Glenn Glass. This is just this general synopsis about the numbers. So, $74.5 million went to local police aid, local governments and municipalities, but the community got $40 million less. So, I guess, you know, and again, this is District 34A. So I guess the question would be,
You know, I'm not sure his numbers are statewide or the district.
Okay.
Because in a lot of times those reports, typically they're talking statewide expenditures as opposed to Harford County's piece of the statewide expenditure. So I have to look at the numbers. It's just tough to answer that without looking at what exactly they're talking about. But it is, these are statewide expenditures.
anybody else?
Is this point, my name is Sabrina Ben, 34A, is this point about not getting new cars to save money?
I'm not really sure what it's about. It's just asking about the numbers itself. Yeah, it's about, okay, So, all right, well, thank you very much. So what we're gonna do is just, again, we're gonna start this way and move this way. And just, if everybody would, if you wouldn't mind either standing up or sit down, whatever makes you more comfortable, talk about who you are and why you're running for office, what your platform, and if you're an incumbent, what you've accomplished, what you hope to accomplish, if reelected. Yeah, first, so.
As I said earlier, I'm Judge Larry Price. I went through an application process, started last spring of 2017. It was vetted by all the local and state agencies, different bar associations. Was approved by the Judicial Nominating Commission, sent to the governor for further review by his appointment secretary, as well as his chief counsel, and was appointed judge back in September of 2017. I've been serving on the bench since October of 2017. My background prior to going to the bench was judicial law clerk in Circuit Court of Harford County for Judge Walter many years ago. I then spent 14 years in private practice in Stark and Keenan, doing mostly general civil practice, representing both plaintiffs and defendants, businesses of all sizes, all types of litigation, contracts, real estate, personal injury, all different areas. I did there for 14 years, and then went to the Office of the Attorney General, where I served as Deputy Counsel in the Contract Litigation Unit, representing the Department of Transportation and all the agencies under that, as well as the University System of Maryland and all the state universities in their complex multi-million-dollar contract procurement litigation, as well as some IT litigation. During that time, I also was very active in the community. I served for a decade on the Humane Society Board. I spent 10 years in the Highland School facility as a Humane Society facility. I was chair of the State Council of Child Abuse and Neglect. I was a high school mock trial mentor at Edgewood High School, where I received the Governor's Public Service Award for my work there. I also was nominated as Harford County's Most Beautiful People nominee for my volunteer work at Edgewood High School. I was on the Wiesner Foundation for Children for 21 years. And actually, I was invited to the Deputy Center during the time that I was. Actually, one while I was one there and one more recently, since I've been off. We're very active in the community and all those things. As far as platform and policy, as a judge, we don't have a platform of political policy. We're required to be impartial, independent, serve with integrity. As far as what I've done during my year that I've been on the bench is I've treated each case individually. To me, the most important case is the case that's in front of me at the time, whether it's a criminal case, a domestic case, or a traffic court that's appealed from district court. For that person, that may be their only interaction with the court. So I need to take that as the most serious case in front of me each day, and I try to do the best I can to make the right decision each day. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so you've heard a little bit about this already. My name again is Diane Atkins Tobin. I'm running for Circuit Court Judge. I've been trying to get an appointment to the Circuit Court bench for a number of years, and actually I've been through the process 3 times. I've been through judicial nominating commissions for Governor O'Malley 2 times, because I was found to be fully qualified to serve as a Circuit Court Judge. And recently, in 2015, I was found to be fully qualified by Governor Hogan's Judicial Nominating Commission. Been through the same process as Judge Price to my left, where I've gone to all of the different committees, all the different bar association committees. They all found me highly or fully qualified to serve as a Circuit Court Judge. And in fact, the last go around, they just looked at me and said, "Really? Why are we here?" That is my qualifications. It's been recognized, I think, by judicial nominating commissions of both parties, not only the Democratic governors, but the Republican governors. As far as background, I started my career when I graduated law school, clerking for a judge in Anne Arundel County. After that, I went to Prince George's County State's Attorney's Office. I had my first murder trial, 3 years there. It was 4 years out of law school. And after about 5 years of that, I moved to Harford County, got married, and my husband was from Aberdeen, actually. I moved to Harford County with him, and I began practicing downtown Baltimore, where I did civil litigation. When I say civil litigation, litigation is a big word, but that means that I was in trial. I was trying cases. I was trying product liability, multi-million-dollar accident cases. I tried slip and fall, I tried auto accidents, I tried product liability, you name it, I tried it. And I did that for 10 years, and that includes all of the discovery, depositions, interrogatories, everything. I did that for 10 years, and what I found was that I wanted to return to a place where I could serve my community. So I found that there was a job opening in the state's attorney's office here in Harford County, and in 2000, I was employed, and I applied for it and was hired as an assistant state's attorney in Harford County. So since 2000, so that's 18 years I've been doing that. In the meantime, I've also been very active in the community. When my children were younger, I was involved in the PTA at Youth Benefit Elementary School. I was president of the PTA at the Boston Middle School. I was involved in the Cub Scouts and Pac 801 as a pack leader and then committee chair. I was involved in the Girl Scout troop as a treasurer, and bought more than cookies than I needed to buy. And also, when I began in the state's attorney's office, it expanded. I was president of the Harford County Bar Association. After I finished doing that, I ran the outreach committee, which brought the civics and the law. Bar Association, State Bar had a civics and the law program where we bring all of the high school students together and do a presentation on civics. And I did that for probably 5 years. I put that together and ran it. I also ran the high school mock trial competition. Now, I don't remember Judge Price being involved in it then because I remember people in my office really were the ones who were most of the coaches. So I would say easily for 5 years, I put together the high school mock trial competition for all of the high schools, getting coaches, setting up courtrooms for them to come in, finding judges, finding people to do scoring, and I did that for 5 years. I'm also currently on the board of the Child Advocacy Center, which is a multidisciplinary task force in Harford County that investigates and prosecutes cases of child exploitation. And I've done that since 2012.
Okay.
I'm not finished. Let me just say one more thing. I'm on the board of Family Children's Services. I've been on the board of the Harford County Bar Foundation, which provides funding for people who need assistance with that. And so I've also been very active in the community. The difference between me is that I've tried cases and I've taken children and victims of crime by the hand. I've stood shoulder to shoulder with families who have lost their children, lost family members to the violence on the streets. And I have an appreciation for the impact of judges' decisions on people. To me, it's not just another file, it's a person. And I appreciate and understand that. And that's what makes me different. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I'm Tom Ashwell, I'm running for circuit court judge also. It's interesting what Diane said about the times that she's been vetted and nothing's ever come of it. And I can tell you a story, and I'll tell you I've never applied, never tried to be vetted because I knew it was baloney. Several years ago, Senate President Mike Miller wanted his son to become the district court judge in Anne Arundel County. So the vetting committee did their job, and they sent a list to Governor O'Malley. And Governor O'Malley sent the list back and said, give me a list with Miller's son's name on it. They sent a list, and now Miller's son is the district court judge in Anne Arundel County. So I knew from the beginning that it was, look, the vetting's nice, they ask a lot of great questions, but in the end it's a joke. The governor picks who he wants to pick for reasons that you can all speculate about. I'm not going to throw it out there, but it is what it is. So no, I've never applied because I knew being a public defender, it was a waste of time. I don't have any money, I don't have any important friends, so I'm not going to do it like that. So, why am I here? Judge Price talks about a balanced bench. And what he says is true. There's 3 women, there's 3 men. Judge Eaves is an African American, she's our administrative judge. Judge Curtin is of Cuban descent. But that's not really a balanced bench because what we have with 3 men and 3 women are, the 3 men are, and I say big firm guys because for Bel Air they are big firm guys. 2 guys from Stark and Keenan, 1 from Sneed, Mahoney, Lutschke, whatever. 3 big firm guys, and 3 women who were prosecutors. Not a soul in the bench is a public defender, has any public defense orientation whatsoever. So when I saw 2 openings and I saw who was appointed, I said enough. I've been a lawyer for 25 years. I went to University of Maryland Law School. I spent a year after graduation as a judge, clerk in the city, John Priebus. I spent 6 years after that actually doing it as a civil private practice. I came up to Bel Air, worked on South Main Street in a 3-man firm. And we did workers' compensation, we did criminal car accidents, we did small criminal stuff. But I wasn't spending a lot of time in court, and I really enjoyed the times I went to court. So when a friend of mine in administration at the Public Defender's Office called and said, hey, we've got money, we can hire you as staff in that contract, are you interested? I jumped on it. That was July of 2000. I've been a public defender for the last 18 years. It's been 10 years, almost 10 years in the city, and as of January 1 of this year, it'll be 9 years in Markham County. Ms. Atkins-Tobin talks about some of the victims that she's helped. And I got to thinking back, because she mentioned that some time ago. As a public defender, I represent victims every day. Now, they're charged with crimes, but if I think about pretty much all of them, every one of them is a victim of something. You know, people don't wake up one day and decide I'm going to be an addict. Something drives them to it, okay? Most of my clients have an underlying mental illness of some sort, and they turn to drugs to try to dull it, to try to push it away. So I have 150 cases on my desk right now, and I guarantee you I have 150 victims. Now they're charged with crimes, they're not subject to it, but many of them have been subject to crimes. You know, and there's awful gallows humor in what Ms. Atkins-Tobin and I do. But one of the things that goes around is today's victim is tomorrow's defendant. But unfortunately, it's true. And it's awful. And as a judge, I hope to be able to change that more than I can as an individual public defender. Thank you.
I just have a quick question for us that don't know. When you said about being vetted, I mean, I was under the impression you get elected, you're there. What does that mean?
There is several different organizations that all the judges who are trying to apply appear before those organizations and they're asked questions, a lot like what we're doing here, but specific organizations that do it. And those folks then talk to the Judicial Selection Committee and say, we approve this person, we disapprove that person. And that selection committee puts together a list and then sends that to the governor, and the governor is supposed to choose a person from that list. But ultimately, it's the governor who chooses. The governor doesn't talk to all these folks. The governor doesn't do all the vetting. It's the other folks, and they send a list to the governor, and he does what he does. In Governor O'Malley's case, oh, I see.
Yeah, you kept saying about being vetted, and I'm like, I was under the impression that if you run for the position and get elected, then you're there.
That's correct.
That's correct.
No, and the way the Maryland Constitution works is, when there's an opening, the governor appoints someone.
Okay.
And that person is sort of a temporary placeholder. Now, they're judges, they're sworn in as judges, they act as judges. But until the next election, they're temporary placeholders. And then when the election comes up, anyone who's otherwise qualified, so you gotta be a lawyer of a certain age and other things like that, but if you're otherwise qualified, then you can run for those open seats. So the appointed people who are sort of placeholders run, and anybody who wants to challenge for the seat can run also.
Thank you so much. So we just, in general housekeeping, we wanted to say thank you to our sponsors, the FACE organization that's here, to Cindy Skilton, Lee Lights in the back. And would you just stand up and tell everybody your name?
Nancy Merritt, I do health insurance, I do taxes, and I do a little bit of everything else.
And so, just, again, in general housekeeping, can we keep our answers to about 3 minutes? And the reason for that is because people have questions later on, we want to leave enough time for everybody to ask whatever it is that we'd like to ask the people while they're here, if you don't mind. Thank you so much.
My name is Christopher Randers Person. I'm running for State Senate for District 35. I grew up in Edgewood. One of my first homes was back here in the trailer park, Oklahoma Park. And I used to attend this church regularly. Some of the issues that I'm most passionate about are the believe that the war on drugs has negatively affected minorities, and we can see that in the numbers, it's plain to see. I want to focus our heroin epidemic or our drug epidemic, I want to focus on mental health. I think that this putting our addicts in jail and prison does not clean them up. It does not get them better jobs. It does not allow them to go to school. It's basically a life sentence for the whole family, and that needs to be fixed. That needs to be worked on. We need to just focus on mental health. That's something that's extremely important to me. My family has been involved with civil rights since before I was born. My grandmother worked at the Library of Congress, and she was in the Martin Luther King marches. My mother's a chaplain. She's been a chaplain at the Harford County Detention Center and currently at the Abingdon Fire Department. My father was a lieutenant colonel in the Army, retired, and he did a lot on computer software to keep the internet free for us. And also, if and when I'm elected, I will be the only third-party candidate in office. Right now I'm running against one independent and one Republican. There's no Democrat running against me. So I have one of the best shots at being a libertarian in the state Senate that essentially there's ever been. So it'll be historical, and I'm just really excited about it. I'm really excited about the election. I hope some of you guys have already voted, and I hope you all come out to it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Senator Bob Cassidy. There's really two things that a senator, the office does. One, we do local service, we cover constituents here with local problems. And then we do legislation in Annapolis, where we meet with the other 46 senators and we local laws. Just two quick things that I think make me a good candidate here for you all on voting in Annapolis. I'm on the committee that first took up the Justice Reinvestment Act. And we sat down and we said, look, we want people behind bars who are dangerous, truly dangerous. People who will come out from behind the bars and stab people and shoot people and rape people. They stay behind bars. The other people, let's use, it's like a parent. I want short, quick punishments. Don't do that, time out, put your back in. Constant forgiveness over and over and over. So, a week in jail, 2 weeks in jail, 3 weeks in jail, that kind of stuff, or whatever program. But don't just throw away the key for 10 years, particularly on violations of probation. We had judges who would say, okay, if I find you guilty of the crime, I'll give you 10 years, but I'm going to suspend it all for 6 months. Kid does 6 months, he comes out, and then he screws up probation because, I don't know, he doesn't show up to the probation office or something like that. So now he gets the balance of 10 years. So they said, time out. If he was that bad, why, if you really need to be behind bars, why did you ever let him out in the first place? So you clearly think he can be behind bars forever. So let's not send him for 10 years because the kid doesn't have a wake. He can't wake up. He's not responsible, right? So we pushed that, and we were successful in that. That was a bipartisan effort on our committee. We did the lion's share of the work on pushing that through, and I think it's being very successful. It's a great program. The other piece on just serving my constituents, most senators pick somebody who's like down in Annapolis or something to be their chief of staff. My chief of staff lives here in Edgewood. She lives about a mile away from here with her husband. She's here in the community. Quick example, walk outside here is a license for this facility to have an after-school care program. They called us and said, hey, we're getting jerked around by the state. My aide came over and she worked with the state on it, boom, boom, boom. And I said, we're going to get this license, and the license is out there. That's what we do for the community. So we're responsive to this community, especially this community, and I'm very proud of that. We just got the East endorsement, which was actually voted back. It's the thing that I'm most respected for in my office is we serve our constituents. We deal with people's problems, we get them done, and we stay with them. Thanks for the invite. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Meredith Morgan. I'm running for Harford County Executive. I'm not a politician. I'm just a resident of Harford County. I decided to run because I live on Route 40 corridor. I think that's pretty much self-explanatory. During this time I've been running, I've learned so much that I realize that, it's unbelievable what goes on in our county government. It's kind of just, it's pathetic, and it needs to be changed. We can't, you know, if you wanna talk about getting a license here, well, we got a name shopping center next door, it's got boarded up windows. That the owner of the store should be taxed, there should be some type of fine for this. If you leave buildings just falling apart in neighborhoods, what does that do for the neighborhood? Nothing. You can't just, in Johnstown, rent out a huge old Kmart building without changing the facade. Oh, well, let's just slap a banner up there, rent it out, and let somebody make as much money as they can, because we don't care how it's gonna affect the neighborhood. Well, make it look halfway decent, so it does affect the neighborhood nicely. Let's treat our children equally. Let's not leave kids in school, needing anything, needing money so that they could take a drama class that they used to do, that they stopped doing. Leaving them with a stage without an audio system, that's not right. If one school doesn't have it, then no school should have it. It's completely unfair. And we have people in government that are changing the charter of our county to serve their own political career. And they're putting it out there for referendum for us to vote on, knowing that it's, how many people are gonna sit there and read it and actually realize who it's gonna affect? It's ridiculous. And you know, here we are letting it go. A county executive that gets a $10,000 a year raise. You know, my husband works for the federal government. I wish we got a $10,000 a year raise. We surely don't, believe me, get a $10,000 a year raise. I don't know who does. But it's a little bit out of hand now. And, you know, for months, everybody was like, oh, well, you know, you're going up against the Glassman administration, you're running against Mary Glassman, you know. It's like, take me and step on me and say, why are you doing that? Well, the last person he ran against, I don't think he did anything. I don't know who he was. I guess he was somebody that just put his name on the ticket because we wouldn't want to run unopposed. You know, you have to care about people in the community, and I'm not a politician. I'm here because I know that needs to be stopped, and I guess I had the guts to do it. And I'm glad I did, and I hope that everybody can tell
I'm Donna Hines, I'm running for Maryland State Senate 7. It's a legislative district, so it's legislative. Oh, okay.
We just want to make sure we got good visual.
I was trying to save time. I'm so tired, I thought it might take me too long to stand up. It's a legislative position, so I would ultimately legislate. The reason I stepped up is because your current senator, he's been in office for 16 years, he shows up less than 30% of the time. And when he does, he votes against education, he votes against the environment, he votes against affordable health care, he votes against women's rights, he even voted against a bill for fair pay for equal job. Voted against that. Now, that's enough of that. That's why I'm running. It's a pretty good reason. I will show up 100% of the time and get things done. To your point, Mr. Perry, I wasn't hearing too good. Did you say there were 1,500 black people in our prison, our local prison now? Now that sounds to me that's a rather large proportion to the population of Harford County. So I have a problem with that. To me, that's more of a civil rights issue. So do black people have to pay a higher penalty for the same crime? Or do white people have more access to better lawyers and money to not go to jail? So that's something I think we really need to look at. That number's surprising. a group of good lawyers, that maybe have no connections. We pull a couple of lawyers. We have them review all the cases, and we have a get out of jail free day. Really look at these cases, pay some money to sit down and get these people out of jail if they really don't belong there. Instead of waiting to be seen in a courtroom over pot. I mean, people go to jail for pot, that's what I'm hearing, I don't know. So that's insane to me too. So that's something else I'm gonna legislate on. Gun sense, the common thread of guns. They're too damn available. They shouldn't be. I don't understand why they are. How can political people in Harford County have a raffle for why is that illegal? How does that happen? So that's another thing we need to work on. We really need to make them less accessible. I say, the first thing we need to do, demand insurance on the guns. Every gun owner who buys a gun must now carry insurance, just like when you buy a car and you have to carry insurance. Why? Because if that weapon is used and it causes injury, death, violence, or stealing, that would be covered by insurance. I think people might be a little bit more prevalent as to securing their guns to make sure they're not put out by their young adolescent boy that's having a bad day. It's going to take it up to a school and start shooting. So gun sense. I definitely want to legislate gun sense because it's not making any sense right now. It really isn't. It's happening more and more and more, and it's affecting more and more people. Okay, I'm done.
Before you go any further, could I correct the record, please?
Yes, sir.
I'm the white bird, that's Mr. Smith.
Mr. Perry.
Yeah, I understand, but
Sorry.
I don't want to give no false information.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, so let me ask you guys, it's up to you. Would you like to continue to keep going for everybody, or do you want to do a trivia question right now? How about the audience? Let's ask.
Take the trivia questions.
Mr. Perry. Smith, great. Perry, you're Perry, right?
I'm white.
All right, this is right. Okay, that works. All right.
So, first trivia question, what is your name?
Okay, so, trivia question. What US president said, ask not what your country can do for you? Okay, that means everybody's awake right now. Let's get one more. Next trivia question. If we ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be one nation gone under. What president said that?
Wait.
Mr. President, I forgot.
I'm gonna read it again. I'll read it again. If we ever forget that we're one nation under God,
Theodore Roosevelt.
no, then we will be one nation gone under.
Jimmy.
Is that right? Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Wait a minute, where's the slime?
That was it, Ronald Reagan.
Thank you. So let's, at this point, we want to just give everybody, give the people that are here tonight a round of applause. Thank you so much for being here. And I just want to say, thank you for being here because you are the only incumbent who bothered to show up tonight. And we feel like that is very important because everybody got an invitation to be here tonight. So from the Minority Report on our behalf, we just want to say to you thank you because what we're doing in our paper and this roundtable was important enough for you to come out and show up tonight. So thank you for being here tonight. I'm sorry. Judge Price, you're so humble, you didn't say anything. so much for being here, I do appreciate this. This is important. Donna?
Yes.
Wow, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So, okay, guys, thank you. We're gonna keep moving and say something.
Hi, I'm Sabra Kern. I'm running for clerk of the circuit court. It's not a policy. We're administrative, mandated by the Maryland State Constitution. I was asked at the polling place on Monday, why is that elected? And I said, because it's in the state constitution. Yeah. So my platform really, I'm not a very good public speaker, so I don't want to belabor the point. But what I would like to say is that my platform and my policy, I have an administrative background, since it is administration. I want to provide service. I want to provide service for the people that come into the office to use the services. I want to provide service to the attorneys that come in to file their papers. I want to provide service to the judges. And the other thing that I want to say is that I have nothing against Mr. Riley at all. But 16 years is 16 years. Change is always good for a system. I hear term limits when I'm out on the campaign trail. That's all I'm saying. But I think that my main platform is that I want to provide decent service for the constituents in this county. I want to inform them as to what our office does, which is provides the administrative support to the court system. And I want to treat people with respect and dignity no matter who they are. If they are defendants, if they are people coming in for a marriage license, if they are attorneys, if they are judges. Thank you.
Thank you. And she would help take care of that backlog. She has attention to detail. She'll take care of it for you, Diane.
My name is Carlos Taylor. I'm running for Harford County State's Attorney. I just want to make just a little corrections. At our detention center, there are about 400 to 500 people who are incarcerated, depending on what time of the week it is. Out of those 400 to 500, roughly 35 to 40% are black, brown, or poor people. And we, black and brown people, only constitute 12% of Harford County. This is a minority report, right? So that's a minority report. And so there's a tone deafness when I say that to some elected officials, because that should be appalling to anybody to see that kind of disparity. And I'm gonna drop a four-letter word. It's called fairness. And so we live in a society that should be fair. And if that's fair, then I don't know what fair is. And so we have to study these issues. Well, why is that? Why is this community suffering that kind of crime rate, or our community suffering that kind of crime rate? Now, is it possible that we really just are committing crimes at that rate? Or is it also possible that our community is being targeted at an alarming rate? And so what happens in Baltimore, the state's attorney down running is from Baltimore. So what happens in Baltimore, and this is well documented, you look up Google and look up what the police officers say. And so if they're working in a good part of town, what they'll do is they'll go to a known part of town where there are criminals hanging out. They'll arrest those criminals. It's called a broken window philosophy. And so they won't particularly be doing anything, but they'll kind of egg them on to do something, and they get a little resisting, and then it's on. So you get a conviction. So is that happening in Harford County? Now, there have been studies that have been made in Harford County. But you know what? Have you heard the results of those studies? No, because those studies have not been made public to the public. We have to demand those studies. We have to demand what's going on. And so until we get that, we really, minorities in Harford County probably will not get justice. And so you have to stand up for justice. One of the things that I'll do as a state's attorney is represent everybody. I want to make sure, I love this county, I've been here all my life. I love this county like my own family. And so we have to start developing, we have to start understanding there are all kinds of issues. Right now we're concentrating on the opioid issues. Well, that's fine. But you know what? The opioid problem really doesn't affect our community. There are other problems that affect our community. There's gun violence. Those two young men who killed the young boy, the young lady who killed her co-workers. You know, no one's communicating with the public about why are these things going on. No one's communicating about the elderly. You know, we face an elderly society, an aging society in our county. No one's communicating what problems affect them. They're constantly being scammed. They're constantly being abused. There's more than one problem than the opioid problem. So there's gang problems that we're having. And the gang problems, you know, people think, well, you know, it says Edgewood, Hampton Grades, and Aberdeen were restricted to that. But you know, one young man said, look, I won't even go to Bell Candy. I won't even go to Riverside because of the prevalence of gangs. And so as the state's attorney, one of my main concerns is that, of course, send people to jail, make sure I do that. And I will do that, I will definitely do that. But the other concern is to make sure we're safe. And if we're not addressing all those issues, we're not going to have a safe county. Things are going to get out of hand. But if we do address those problems early on, we're going to nip problems in the bud, and we're going to remain safe.
Hi, my name is Yolanda Strickland Lucas, and I'm running for Register of Wills. It is a countywide position, so everybody living in Harper County can vote. I first took notice of this office when I was asked to advocate for a family who had been targeted by someone who vowed to be the executive. And I realized that there were limited to no protections, for that family. And further looking into the office, I realized also that we fall short in many, many areas, and it's just time for a change. Similar to the clerk of courts, it's been a long legacy of 28 years of the same family being there, 8 years the same person. And until we had this election, the issues of not being president in the office, community outreach, and other things that I will address were not even on the table or thought of. This is not a legacy position. It is not an entitled position. It's one that you must fight for. It's one that you must work at in order to represent and be fair to all of the people here in Harper County. One of the issues that I'm really looking at are, first of all, the fact that there is limited protections. There needs to be internal balances, checks and balances in order to help protect people, for people who are deceased, to protect their legacy, and to people who were inherited whatever property is left. The other issue is access to the process. There is a website and a lot of the forms are online, and wherein this is good for people who are savvy in the technology area, for many people who are elderly, shut in or sick, or disabled. This is something that is not as accessible as it should be, and it's been found that there's an inconsistency in information and there is some difficulty in accessing forms. There's also a question about the inheritance tax and the possibility of it being excessive, and so therefore I want to look into these things. The overwhelming thing is that most people do not know what the Register of Wills is or what it does. Register of Wills is the office where you register your will. It is important to have your will because you don't want to die intestate. That sounds so complicated. Intestate means it's that you die without having a will. I want to simplify this for people. You want to avoid probate. Probate is simply having to prove your will in a court. So these are the things that should be in common language for everyday people. I want to provide this information. I've had a long history here. I went to University of Chapel Hill after graduating as a merit scholar from high school. I graduated from Howard University in microenvironmental studies and design. I've been a community advocate working with many, many people, bipartisan, for years, and I'm a person who is out here to meet the needs of the people, and I will do that in this office. It's time for change. Change is me. Vote Yolanda Strickland Lucas for Register of Wills.
Hi, my name is Bud Hines. I'm running for County Council President.
It's a county-wide office. I'm a 28-year Fallston resident. The reason why I decided to step up was one, no one was running. Number two, apologize to everyone who's heard this story 500 times, but the reason why, my wife and I live behind Jones Subaru, and it used to be Hinder Lincoln Mercury, and when Hinder was there, they weren't allowed to expand their building or expand their lot or do anything. And the minute that Hinder left and Jones moved in, they were able to expand their parking lot and their building by a factor of 3 without a single permit. They were allowed to put up stadium lighting, the equivalent of 3 baseball stadiums, and it was okay. And the county executive at that time was driving around in a brand new Jones pickup truck. And so when we reached out to the county council and to the county executive, it fell on deaf ears. So it took 2.5 years to galvanize the neighborhood, take Harford County, PG&E, and Jones Subaru to court, and it cost us $60,000. So I'm still angry about that. So my whole thing is I'll fight for your zoning rights. Since I've started running for office, I found out about the combustible tire plant at Mountain Road, Route 7, that most people in Harford County knew nothing about. It was going to burn 75 truckloads of tires a day. It was going to be built by a company that had never built a pyrolysis plant in the United States. And by the way, there's no pyrolysis plant in the United States that is functioning and working. So Harford County, all of you were going to be guinea pigs and you didn't know about it. And thanks to this wonderful man who told me, got me started knowing about it, we reached out to all the people in Harford County. It was, I call it a pyrolysis plant or a combustible tire plant. It was going to burn 75 truckloads of tires a day. So right now at Mountain Road, Route 7, at the Austin Tire Processing Center, they shred tires. And right now in their agreement with Harford County, all the tires are supposed to be covered. So if you ever venture down Paul's Lane and drive down there and take a look at the tires, they're not covered. No one is supervising that. So you have an irresponsible company who was supposed to take care of tires, and all of a sudden they were going to build a combustible plant. If you go to my website, you'll see 3 pages of data from manufacturers of pyrolysis, it's not pyrolysis plants, and it talks about all the dangers. One of the first dangers in the first 2 years, the plant could explode. And then there's all kinds of hydrogen sulfates that could come into the air, land, and the city. So we all would be in danger. And I just thank God that this is the first time we got the Harford County Council to vote against it. It's the first time that they voted against anything that Barry Glassman wanted. Now, I only have a few minutes, but what I want to tell you is this. I got to listen to the people in the county executive say their goodbyes because you know that the session is over and Richard Slutsky is retiring. And when he gave his speech, he talked about how he was recruited to be a county council person. And then he was recruited to be the county council president. And then he also talked about how they recruited Patrick Vincetti to take council position E, county council E. And now they've recruited Patrick Vincetti to be the president. So if all of you are happy with zoning, you're happy with the traffic congestion, if you're happy with the fact that the last time I was there, they passed 9 bills in quick succession, and boom, 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 boom. There's no time for research, and if you're happy that your council people are not taking these bills back to you and explaining and getting feedback, well then go ahead and vote for Vincetti and vote for the other people that are in office. If you want to change, you've got to vote for change. You've got to vote for something different. Vote aye.
qualifications, I'm a retired medical steel supervisor. I started out as a laborer, ended up running the department, and budgeting and employees, and I have made valuable decisions while I was at that position, and I feel that I can make them mistake. Some of my goals, I've pointed out before, and I'm for education. I'm against this here, prison pipeline system that we have here in Martin County. I do not like expulsions and people being expelled. I think we can come up with a better method of treating students that are disciplined. And I want a better system in our schools that handles those people, those problem children. We do not have that. We gotta get it. And at the state level, what I'm looking for is that the state program to fund the schools is over 15 years old. That has to be looked at. The allocation of the funds have to come more into our county. I would like to see, like the representative 34A, she's brought over $500,000 back to this county. All the Republicans in this county that are in those state offices never bring any money back. When I questioned one of them, he said, "Oh, we go to the governor and he gives us our money that we want." Oh, come on. You can't put a bill in that brings back money to the county. You can't bring our money back. I don't vote for that. Now I want to tell you a story. I gave a lecture forum over in Baltimore County, and there I mentioned my ancestors. All of my ancestors are in the early 1700s. And when I got through all that, a woman came up to me and she said, "That's no reason to vote for you." And she's absolutely right. Now, what I look at a problem here in this county alone. And I'll give you a little example of how I know about it, what I saw. When I was 7 years old, my best friend was named Beverly Wells. And if I choked up, I'm sorry. When I ate with that man. I was considered part of the man. When his uncle came back from World War II, the racial discrimination was so bad that his mother pulled me aside and she said, "It's best for you not come around here." So I lost my best friend. And I followed his career for 3 years. And he started appearing in newspapers, picked up marijuana. And I think he got into dealing and all that. And he got up into age. And the police, they want somebody, they need an arrest. They look back on the street. Oh, one day he's drinking his grandmother to the doctor. And this cop stopped him for no apparent reason, but stopped him because they knew who he was. And he asked, "Why did you stop me?" About, I'm taking my grandmother to the doctor. You know, the conversation was on. Beverly got out of his car, went to the trunk, pulled out a shotgun, and killed him. Now, he was driven to that, as far as I'm concerned. And I travel Route 40 a lot. And I can relate to what's happening right here in this county. When I travel Route 40, if I see a white person stopped, I see one police car. If I see a black person car stopped, I will see from 3, 4 to 5, even 6 police cars. They're not only county, they're state police. I approached the sheriff on this same issue. And his remark to me was, "I'm glad that they can show up." He had no idea what I was talking about, racial discrimination that's going on. And we know it. There's Elaine Lewis. She knows it. She was over in the school with those 7 children back last year. Nigger. I'll say the word. I'm not afraid to say the word. But I know what it means. And because I know that black people call black people nigger. I worked with a bunch of black people in the steel mills. And And I know how they talk to each other and how they call them each other what they call them. And they didn't care that I called them. Now, I came here tonight because of what was on the program. That you were going to talk about I was understanding you were going to talk about the ways to combat racial discrimination. I thought that's what the program was.
She just texted, she's like getting you.
Yeah. So I came here because there's some things that are appearing on the Facebook page that are upsetting. And the last one that upset me was Al Jolson. They were calling Al Jolson. Okay. They were calling Al Jolson a racist because he wore black and he uses entertainment. The historians say that that man did more for the black community than anybody in those times from 1910 to 1950. And yet, because he wore a black face, we want to look at it the wrong way. So, I'm here and I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay. Last but not least, sorry.
Last but not least, you might have to walk with me a little bit. My name is Saria Ben. I'm running for delegate of 34A. That means Happy Grace, the job. I'm the only one here, and you want to know why? Because I'm tied to my community. See, everybody I'm running against is really not tied. When I say my community, I don't care what you I've been a community activist, I've been a music minister, an educator, professional musician. Now people say that's kind of a weird combination of things, to want to be an educator, to want to be in the legislature. But I tell you, it's a perfect combination. You know why? Because I'm going to look at things not as business as usual. See, we've had business as usual, and what has this got us? We still complain. Every 4 years, our incumbents come and they say, give me your vote. Democrats, Republicans. And what do? You do it, right? But you got to start thinking in 2018, it's got to go a little bit different. So that's part of the reason why I'm running. When I ran in the primary, I got almost 2,200 votes, and everybody said I came out of nowhere. I did not. My community knew who I was. That's the reason why I got those votes. But I also had a party that didn't really want me to run. They actually recently even told me that, how dare I think I could run the first time. And then I thought, wait a second, let me roll it back why I should run. My dad was a sharecropper in this county. Sharecropper, son. Working like a mule at 10 years old. My great-great-grandfather, John Durbin, liberated his kids in this county. Okay? Alfred B. Hilton is a great cousin. He's the only Civil War hero that died and has a bridge named after him in Aberdeen. Joe Bond, NAACP leader. So don't tell me I don't have ties to this country. Don't tell me why I shouldn't be able to, this area, excuse me. Don't tell me why I shouldn't be able to run. Why aren't you here? We should have the answer to this community in Edgewood about why we've ignored it, why we have not reinvested monies, why we have just done nothing. That's part of the reason why I'm running. My dad also used to tell me when I was a kid, he used to say, the future is today, the past is tomorrow. And for the longest time, I never understood what the heck he was talking about. He used to tell me this over and over and over. But I understand it today. You have to be proactive in what you do, and that's the type of person I am. Now, I'm a write-in candidate because, like I said, they played games in the primary. Now they're all running around because Write-In Ben has a lot of people writing my name in. You want to know why? Because they know I'm real. I'm not playing games. I'm going to go in that state house and put my foot in some of those dinosaurs' butts. You want to know why? Because we need to stop lying. Like what's on our ballot right now, question 1. Everybody thought casino money was going to education 12 years ago. All of a sudden, the question comes later. That's not legislating, that's playing games. That's right. And Saria Ben plays no games. I cannot barter soul. Trust me, People try. Like I said, professional musician. They used to offer millions, but I cannot be bought or sold. I'm 100% for the people. That's why people call me the people's champ. Okay? It's an affectionate term, and I like it. It reminds me of my dad because he loved Muhammad Ali. I'm not going to go on too long, but that's a little bit about me. As far as legislative, I told you a little bit about the small business. We have to get out of the factory. We got to get out of this factory stuff. Part of the reason why it's environmental racism. There are people walking around here with environmental COPD and all manner of environmental asthma and all kinds of things. We got kids down the street, we wonder why does little Bud have a cough? Never happened in the family. Well, that's because we're putting disgusting things in the air. We are an energy-dependent state. You know what that means? We are dependent for outside resources. We need to start moving towards the future. And part of what that is starting today. Okay? When we start today, we have to start looking a little more environmental. I know it's not sexy, but it's the reality. Because I got a kid, and I want to see him live. He's got autism. I want to see him get more access to things as an educator, obviously. You know. So there's a lot of things that I see in our future. But one last thing before I go. In this particular area, all the tradesmen are between the age of 55 and 64. What does that tell you? They're about to retire. Now, instead of putting them in the jail, everybody complains about jail, right? Well, why don't we make them productive? Put it in the schools. Let's go back to when I grew up, where we had home ec, we had some, vocational activities, maybe even build a VOTEC. I can't say that that's something that I could actually do, but I'm just saying move towards that. So we can actually have people who live in this community who can make a good wage and give back to this community. Finally, for the last 6 years, I took out of my pocket, not because I'm all great and all rich, all my savings to take care of my mom. Why? Because healthcare is crap. Caregivers are mistreated every day. We have to work and we got to take care of our parents. Most of us do not have $10,000 to $20,000 a month to put our people in a home, right? And then we don't want to do that. We really love them. So we need to start moving towards those things. And if you write my name in, you know you have my word that I'm going to do what I say because I mean what I say when I do what I say. So thank you. And just remember to write in SBIN 34A because I'm the only one who will fight for everything. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I can tell you real quick. Okay, real quickly, we have a commuter area. Okay, again, the problem in the commuter area, everybody cannot get where they need to go. If your car goes down, you are stuck, you lose your job. I'll give you a quick story. My cousin was working, his car went down, he had to walk from Aberdeen to Belcamp. He ended up losing his job. Why? Because the public system that we have right now didn't start until 7 in the morning. He wanted to work, but he could not get to work. What about the grandmother in Aberdeen who wants to go to the senior center in Happy Grace and it's taking her 2 hours? What about the kid here in Edgewood who wants to go to Harvard Community College but it takes him 3 hours? Really? I pay a lot of tax. I pay tax to live in Aberdeen. I pay tax to live in the state. I pay tax left and right, and I don't ever see it going anywhere. So I want to see us invest in a real build-out, like most states that are really trying to be productive, but I want it to be environmental friendly, renewable fuels. Okay? So that's my basic thing.
You guys are, you still awake? You still awake? We got another half an hour. Okay. So here's just one side thought real quick, and then we're gonna go to some more speakers and give them a chance to come up. We're gonna break and eat, and then if you guys want to talk to the candidates that are running, please feel free to do so if they are, are willing to stay and do that. One of the questions that I have, and this is really for anybody, is, we talk a lot about our teachers and we talk about, do we do any background checks on teachers in the school system? Is anybody know, I mean, not just when they come in, like maybe every 2 years or every 3 years, anybody know?
You talking about criminal background check?
Yeah, background checks.
Yes, well, what happens, I can tell you, is that, yes, they do a criminal background check on incoming teachers, and then when a teacher is convicted of a crime, it is reported to the school system.
But if they're not convicted or if it's not reported, because some probably, there are probably people that have some things and if this, we don't know, well, how do you catch that?
We prosecute them so we know, but if it's a different county, then, I think the school wants that. They know.
Because you have pharmacists that are going from state to state to state,
Yeah.
and all of
Well,
that.
that's a different issue. So what you're, and I've prosecuted many teachers, I don't think many, but a few teachers who have been convicted of child abuse and of sex offenses. So, one of the things that I always would require is that they agree to turn in their license. So because they've committed a crime against a child, if it's a student or if it's a child, then they're gonna be on the Department of Social Services registry. They'll either be on the Maryland State Sex Offender Registry, which if they move out of state, then they're going to be required to register on that sex offender registry. But even if they're not, then what will happen is the Department of Social Services maintains its own registry, and they will be on that. So that what will happen is that if they go to a different jurisdiction, try to get a license, the background check, assuming that the other state can do a thorough investigation, will bring that out. But that's a big assumption, assuming that the other jurisdictions are going to do the right type of background investigation.
Okay, so, we have,
I just had a quick question. I'm not gonna say the person's name, but there's a current teacher that had a peace order against him from his wife for abuse. What happens in that case? Because I'm wondering, because I don't think they should be teaching the kid.
I don't know, that's a school issue. That's not a criminal conviction to have a peace order. So that's not something that would really affect the license. And really, that's a personnel issue with the school, and none of us here really work for the schools, and we can answer that.
so I want to bring up, Marlon Hargrove from the Space Organization, just wants to say a few words. We're gonna probably be about 10 minutes, real quick, with our sponsors and vendors, and then we're gonna go to break. Is that okay with everybody? Ms. Hargrove.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I promise not to be before you all long. My name is Marlo Hargrove Sr. I am the director of an organization in Baltimore, Maryland, which is called FACE, an acronym which stands for Freedom Advocates Celebrating Ex-Offenders. First and foremost, I want to commend all of you for coming on, being a part of this evening. And actually, I want to thank my colleague as well, Ms. Janice McClellan, for bringing you all together. And again, I promise not to be before you all long, but I want to hit some real facts that has been said tonight. Please bear with me. Facts, 10 facts. 77 million Americans have an arrest record. 77 million have an arrest record. 700,000 plus are released from prison each year. Not talking just Baltimore City, Harford County, I'm talking throughout the United States. 12 million annually circulating in and out of prison. Annually. 70% of inmates are high school dropouts. 70% are locked up for drug offense. 50% of inmates are illiterate. 15% of the inmates have a mental illness. Now I'm talking about Harford County. I come from the inner city of Baltimore. I am the crime that we discussed this evening. I am that previously incarcerated person. I am that one who was incarcerated. I am these statistics that I'm reading. So one thing I know for sure, and two things for certain. If I'm not at the table making some decisions, then I must be on the menu getting served.
Yes.
I am not being elected. I was appointed. I was appointed. And one thing again, I know that a house divided by itself won't stand. If God is not in the equation, it won't stand. It won't stand. And I'm talking about someone who has no mother, who has no father, who has no biological brothers and sisters. I'm talking about someone who spent lifetime in prison. Because you don't have to go to jail to be incarcerated. You can be locked up in your mind by the way you think. And I'm not asking any of you to identify yourselves. But how many of you realize the pressure in this mental health if you go in jail for one day? You become institutionalized in your mind. How many of you can relate to that? I'm talking about someone to being a part of not just being the problem, but finding the solutions to the problem. We can talk about it day for day for day for day for day. But if you're not elected, are you still willing to serve? If you're not one of the candidates that get elected, are you still willing to put your life on the line? This is not for the moment. This is a movement. And we all have to be held accountable. How many of you, and I'll be real brief so I can bring the gentleman on, how many of you know somebody that's been locked up for 10 years?
Amen.
20 years. Somebody that's been locked up for over 30 years.
Yep.
Somebody that's been locked up for over 40.
Yep.
I'm not talking about increments. Over 40 years. I seen their hand go up,
No.
but mine. So I'm talking to this brother here, and I'm talking to you all, and I'm going to be real brief, and I'm going to take my seat. We're not just talking about the work, Baltimore, Maryland. We're in the heart of the Freddie Gray area. We are in the trenches. We are in the belly of the beast, providing services, providing transitional housing, providing case management, providing mental services, providing these services. And it's not about me coming up here with my credit. It's about God getting the glory. How about this? Here's someone that can share not just their experience, but who can share their truth about all what we just heard. But it's better not just to hear it. It's better to see it and to hear it from somebody who lived it. So all that you shared, I'm going to bring someone who lived it and who can share the experience of what you all coming a part of, who actually lived the lifestyle of it. This is my story. I'm sticking to it. I bring to you at this time, Mr. Earl Nelson.
That's me. My name is Earl Nelson. I'm a protege of Mr. Marlon Hargrove. Actually, I'm the chief spokesperson for the FACE organization, meaning I talk for him. Man, why I gotta get down here with the churches in? I stayed out there for 47 years, 11 months and 16 days. I've been out now for 3 years. I'm just beginning to learn how to be a human being. I'm so institutionalized, I still am. I still am institutionalized. I still think I'm in prison. I still do all the stuff I did in prison before I home. I still do all those things. Because I don't know better. Now, I went to a restaurant. Well, it was my first day out. And they said, pick what you want, anything you want. I said, oh my God, all this stuff looks good. So I'm standing there. But I've got to tell them, I ain't got to choose for myself. You see, in prison, I just go through the line. I'm used to doing that, going through the line. That's all I ever did. So now you ask me to make a choice. I'm stuck. I don't know how to do that. I can look around and go, what you think I should get? What you think I should get? Because I don't know. Because I've been in jail for a long time. My opinion, any man or woman that takes a gun and goes into a place like this and kills people has to be crazy. He was in the duck on it. When he's nuts, he must be crazy to do something like that. My opinion. So, when people step around and do all this free stuff and thing on Donald Trump. And also, the world just crazy. I can't understand this here. They were afraid to let me go because I killed someone. And they're not going to let me out of prison. But since I've been out of prison, now I'm scared. I thought that freedom was different. Since I've been home, freedom ain't like I thought it was because I'm afraid to walk the streets. Because the area I'm in, there's so much rampant violence. And I'm a violent man. I know everybody. I'm somewhat hooligan, or so they say. But I'm scared. Because the world is different now. Everything is different. So now that I'm out here, now I'm supposed to be free, and I'm doing the right thing, and I'm trying to do a little work, I'm trying to give back. It's kind of hard. Because I oftentimes get bitter, I get angry, because I can't understand how, my opinion, civilians, want to street people, the people who have been incarcerated, I just don't get it. Prison is dangerous. Prison is deadly. Prison will destroy you. Or it can build you up, man. It can make you a superstar. Because it's dead to me because I wanted to be a superstar. See, I was stupid. I was dumb. I was deliberate. I couldn't read. I couldn't write. I couldn't do nothing when I was in prison. At 19 years old. I came out when I was 67. I came out of prison when I was 67 years old. Now I'm 69. I'm an old man. But in prison, I didn't know that. Because the prison don't care about your senior citizen status. The prison don't care about your age, none of that means nothing. The prison is just a number. Now, then I'm out, and they tell me I'm a human being now. Now they tell me I'm a man. Now they tell me I can do anything I want to do. They tell me I can even vote if I wanted to. Okay, I'm acclimating back into society. I'm trying to be a human being. But it's hard. It really is. Because, man, I don't know what to wear, I don't know what to eat, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go. I don't even talk to women. When I talk to women, I'm scared. I'm intimidated by them. Those are women that trying to, well, they're trying to, men just be doing stuff now. Because the men work. Women do men's jobs. I'm startled by that. I never thought nothing like that. Women driving a big truck. I'm not used to that. That's kind of surprising to me. Women with blonde hair, women with green hair, women with orange hair, women with yellow hair. All this stuff is new to me. Wow, I don't know what was going on. But now that I'm out, now that I'm supposed to be free, now that I feel good about the world, now that I feel more confident, now that I feel absolutely strong, now I'm ready to do something. Now I want to help out. So anything I can do for anybody, I will. Because I can. Yeah, I can do a lot. Because I've educated myself. There ain't much I can't do. And I'm kind of bold. And I'm really direct. Most people hate when I come. Most people do. Most people hate me. But I'm so bold and direct. Yes, I am, man. Thank you.
My name is Nancy Stuckey Merritt, and I do life and health insurance, I do taxes, and I do something called daily money management. And everybody says, what is that? Oh, well, okay, here, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I was a registered tax preparer, and then I was an agent offer. Do you want to become a life and health agent? I said, sure. In the meantime, my grandmother had some mini strokes. We found out that she had needed some help for a while. We went over there, we were helping clean out everything. We literally found all her medical bills in a brown paper bag. She goes, well, it just got too expensive. And it's like, grandmother, you stopped paying it. So then I started becoming more aware, especially our seniors. They don't have wills. They don't have power of attorneys. They don't have advanced directives. They can't afford an attorney, so who's going to help them? So then that's one of the things that I do. Because as you know in Maryland, you do not have to have an advanced will. If you're doing a basic will, the average person could do their own if they chose to. So, you know, if somebody has further needs, then I help them find those resources. I also do health insurance. I'm actually actually in the Aberdeen Walmart, and it breaks my heart when people come to me and they do not qualify for Medicaid. They're making $800–900 a month on Social Security, can't afford health insurance because their household income is $10 over the limit or $20 over the limit. They want to keep their own doctors. They can't. If they're going to get an Advantage plan, they have to go between Kaiser and Cigna Healthcare and Humana. They can't afford supplements. A lot of them can't afford the prescriptions because it's not just the co-pays, it's the monthly premium. So that's one of the things that I do. I also do taxes. I work for Jackson Hewitt, and I'm actually in the Walmart, so I spend half the year in Walmart. But I'm available. People know they can come to me and ask for help. And I help everybody. I don't make all money doing it, but, you know, my husband is retired military, so we're fortunate. He served 26 years. So we have a very good retirement income, and then he works another job. But he wants concealed carry permit in Maryland. He had it in Texas, and he's like, why can't I get it? He retires as a colonel, and he can't get it. So, you know, eventually we will leave Maryland because it's getting too expensive. So when he actually retires, we will probably leave Maryland because tax-wise, it's just getting ridiculous. So, I don't want to leave, this is my home, but you gotta go where you're gonna maximize your dollars. So, any questions? But health insurance, and I have some other information over here about taxes and Medicare. Okay?
Delegate Glass, you came in, I just want to thank you and welcome you here. And we're going to bring up Cindy, and she's going to tell us a little bit. Thank you so much for coming out.
Hey guys, keep it short and sweet. I know you've been here a long time, and you're not here to meet me, you're here to listen to them. Long and short, I live in Joppa, love this place, do my best. I'm with New York Life. The idea behind what I'm doing is I'm just being involved in the community. You know, you care, you live here, you give it arm. So long and short about what I do here is you guys have questions about, gosh, I want college planning. I want to retire on time. I want to retire on purpose. I want to have a clue what's going on where. My employer's offering me. Do I do it? Do I not? It can be a big old puzzle. It can be confusing. Just want to be a resource to you if you have questions. There's no strings attached to it. Ask a question. Share a coffee. Meet up. I have some information back if you're interested in it. New York Life is the strongest, oldest management company. You hear a lot of stuff about there. Over $23 billion surplus. So you talk about company strength, and will they be around or not? Are they good by their word? I love where I work. Love to help you guys out. If there's any questions, there's some info in the back. Again, just being an active in the community, and I'm here. Cheers.
So, just want to say, do you understand that this is a way to say hi? And this has been great. Thank you very much for that. But anyway, I'm with an organization called Together We Will, Harford County and for Chesapeake. We've been doing a lot of stuff in the community over the last 2 years, and kind of as a tie-in to what you're doing, we have a town hall coming up November 15th, which is a third part of a school to prison pipeline town hall we've been hosting to discuss this issue, look at its implications, how we can kind of see what's happening, acknowledge it, and address it here in Harford County. So that's going to be November 15th at Harford Community College, and I invite you all to attend.
I have a question, Drew.
Sure.
Can you make sure you send an email out to the delegates and senators, because sometimes there's events that happen and we just miss it, I don't know about.
Sure.
Can you let me know? Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. We're going to take a 2-minute break, and then after that, we'll come back and just do a panelist discussion. We can open up for questions, and then we'll be wrapping it up after that. Then.
Well, we have some more trivia questions and give them things. go shopping now.
I want.
And for those of you that are leaving, thank you for being here tonight.
Yes, thank you so much. Pardon me? Oh, you want
Yeah, it won't take What's going on? Yeah, I remember that. How you doing, Chuck? Surprise, said you did,
I just saw and admired, and I didn't, I know I didn't, I had nothing, but, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
I just.
Not a problem.